Welcome to the Wholesome Healing Collective.
Join us on our podcast for a journey into the hearts of healers from all walks of life, diving deep as we explore meaningful conversations that have the power to inspire, empower, and share life-changing wisdom.
Through this community, we hope to create a welcoming environment where our listeners leave feeling nurtured and uplifted. We are so delighted you are here. My name is Alyssa.
And I'm Renee. Grab a drink, get cozy, and let's dive in. Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Wholesome Healing Collective. Me and Alyssa are here, and we're celebrating a really cool number, 888 days. And for Alyssa, it's 888 days sober. So we thought we would talk about her journey, and the tips and tricks that she's learned along the way, some of the research that she's done, the approach she's taken to her journey with her relationship with alcohol, which I feel like shines a light on how the journey that we see with TV and we often hear with crazy scenarios is not everyone's journey. And I feel like more people are starting to become sober curious and questioning the things that they're putting in their body and how they're treating their body. And I love hearing Alyssa's journey. So we're going to dive in.
Yes, I'm so excited to finally share my story. I mean, there's been bits and pieces here and there, but this will be like the big thing that I've been waiting for. So I'm excited.
Awesome. So maybe do you want to start with a little bit about what made you start to maybe question your relationship with alcohol and spur your curiosity?
Yeah. There's actually a friend I went to high school with who had left their wallet at the brewery I worked at, and it was in the safe, and I saw it in there, and I messaged him and I was like, hey, I saw your wallet was in the safe. You must have left it here. And he's like, yeah, I'll come get it. And I kind of reconnected with him briefly on Facebook because of that instance. And then not long after that, I had seen he started posting his journey to sobriety, but he went a different route. But watching his story and reading what he was saying really had me start questioning my relationship with alcohol. Like I said, at the time I was working at a brewery, and so I was drinking beer more than I wanted to, or consuming wine in my off hours, and it was getting a little out of hand. And so that spark of curiosity, where do I have to continue doing this? Like, does this have to always be my life? That really entered at that point. But it took about 6 months for me to finally make the decision that I was going to stop drinking. And throughout that journey, we started cutting back on beer and drinking more like low alcohol by volume beers instead of the 7%. So we were looking for 5%. That's low alcohol. Isn't that crazy? And then we were trying to be sustainable. Like, we went to a concert that summer and we were like, let's drink. I don't even remember what they were called, but we wouldn't have normally drank those, but we were just trying to make a good decision so that we could be awake and enjoy the concert and drive home and be safe. And that kind of became like a turning point for us.
This is your husband, yeah?
Yes, my husband.
Yeah.
I'm so thankful that he has been on this journey with me. I honestly don't know what it would have been like if he didn't decide to quit drinking alcohol too. So yeah. And then Thanksgiving, I showed up to brunch hungover, and I had a kombucha, and I was like, I'm gonna be better than I was before. I'm gonna not drink today. And I remember taking pictures that day. And if you followed me on Facebook or you go back and look, that's usually the picture that I share on my 1 year anniversary, or again on my 2nd year, because the swollen face and just the inflammation I have from being hungover, but also drinking beer that I shouldn't have been drinking because I'm supposed to be gluten-free and beer has a lot of gluten. And when I looked at that picture, I was just like, oh my gosh, that is not who I want to be. And then it was just less than 2 weeks later, I think, is when I finally picked up Annie Grace's alcohol experiment. It's 30 days of not drinking. Every day you read a chapter and she gives you the information you need in that moment. And it was exactly what I needed. And at the end was a challenge. She said, if you want to keep drinking, that's okay. But I invite you to drink without anything extra. No people, no entertainment, so no movies, no music, nothing you would really associate drinking with, because drinking is typically associated with barbecues or relaxing or socializing. And when you take away alcohol, people think that they won't be able to do those things, but you can still enjoy those things. So in her challenge, she just wanted you to drink, just you and alcohol. And she wanted you to record it so that you could watch the journey or rewatch the journey and actually see what it was like to just be you and alcohol. And I didn't do that. I decided not to drink, but I thought that was such an interesting concept.
Yeah, that is a really interesting concept.
Yeah. And then it's just been alcohol free ever since. And I don't want to go back. I don't really like, I'm not being like 5 years and then I can have a drink or whatever the number is. It's just like, for today, this is who I want to be. And tomorrow is probably going to be the same thing. And the next day is going to be the same thing. But I don't think about alcohol every day. I've been thinking about it more recently because 888 days is coming up. And I think that's such a cool number to celebrate. I'll celebrate 1,000 and then we'll go from there. But it's like, I don't think about alcohol every day. It is not a ball and chain that I'm shackled to. It doesn't weigh on my shoulders. It's not clouding my judgment. I am truly free.
One thing I love about your story is that you don't give yourself the title or identify as an alcoholic. And I think in so many different scenarios, that's so important. And it's such a, I don't think these things have to be a life sentence, but when we take on those identities, even when we free ourselves from the substance, we still carry that identity as if it's a sentence on us, and it doesn't need to be. And the freedom that, not to say that someone who has the identity isn't also free and can't experience the feeling of freedom, but I do feel like there's a difference in those who release that identity versus those that don't. And I feel the same with, any title like depression, like I have a little niece and sometimes she'll say something like, did you know I'm depressed? And I'm like, no, honey, you're just feeling those feelings. And that's okay. We can feel those feelings, but that don't make it a part of who you are. Even though I know how deeply, and in a way, those things are a part of us, they're like the inner child of us. But I do feel like the identity taking it on in any of those scenarios just makes it harder to find the freedom.
Yes, I agree. And I've always acknowledged the addiction. Like, I was addicted to a highly addictive substance because of the tolerance I had built up, the habit, the schedule. Like, it was in my internal clock. It's time for a drink. And if I didn't have that, I would start to get sick or anxious. And it's the same way for a lot of people. But it's only a few days or weeks and you can break that cycle. According to Dr. Huberman, and I can link his podcast here, he talks all about alcohol and all these things, that I may have been predispositioned for substance use disorder, just like genetically, based on the things that he said. Somebody who has that looks like or acts like when they drink, that I think that could have been me. And the fact that I may be predispositioned and still beat that addiction and am on this path of being alcohol free. Like, I think that's really cool that you don't have to have that label. Like, I'm always going to be dealing with this. Like, you don't. You can take your power back and you can be free. And all you have to do is make that decision. Yeah.
That resonates.
Yeah.
I love the strength in which you say that. Like, I feel that power. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was just telling you before we started recording that I have never really felt aligned with AA. And then I had picked up a book and was reading step 1, and I instantly got mad. Then I'll read it to our audience here. So step 1 of the 12 steps, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. And that really irritates me because I am not going to give my power away. I'm not going to give it to alcohol, and I'm not even going to give my power away to a higher power, because that energy is inside of me. And so I don't need to look elsewhere to be saved by anything besides myself. And so inviting everybody to question that 12 steps and see, does that really align with me and my path?
Yeah. Power really is within. And I think that's something that we see so, I don't know, misrepresented in a lot of ways and in a lot of religious texts, where it'll just be contradictory, where you'll read that God is within you in multiple religious texts, but then there's, 2 pages later, you have to look outside of you to be saved. And it's just like, no, what, that person over there, just because they're in whatever status, title, building, they're not the one saving me. It's inside. And yeah.
Yes.
Amen. Saving yourself.
Saving yourself. Yes. But I don't know who they are, but there's definitely somebody out there, some entity, whether it's like a person, not like, or it could be just dark energy. That could be a completely different topic, but there's something out there that doesn't want everybody to be powerful, because in numbers, when we know our power, that is dangerous to whoever they are. And so I feel like there's a lot of that in the religious text that has been transcribed or translated many, many different times, that the message we're reading now probably isn't the original message, because they want to control us and they want to take away our power, and they want to tell us that this person or this thing is going to save us, when really we can save ourselves.
Yeah. And that's not even to discredit the power of God, because I think we both know and deeply have deep reverence for that power. It's just that power is in us versus, or we believe it's in us versus the belief that it's outside of us and that there's saving to be had.
Yes. Yes, I know that now. I didn't know that a few years ago, but feeling this connection through all of this work has been amazing, life-changing. But I didn't need that to quit drinking alcohol.
What was the thing? I'm curious when, and maybe there's a through line for the whole journey, but in those times, maybe before you got to that point where you weren't thinking about alcohol and it wasn't really part of your schedule anymore, what was maybe the things that helped get you through that time before you got to that point of really going deep within and feeling kind of, I guess maybe how did you pull back the layers to find that power that you found inside of you?
I think that the book, The Alcohol Experiment, really helped, because it was a mix of science and the neuroscience that is involved with drinking and that addiction, and what happens when you have an addiction. reading that and understanding that it wasn't my fault, that it was like chemically happening in my system, and that I didn't have control over that part. But like knowing that if I stop drinking, then I do have control. I do get to choose that chemical response doesn't happen anymore. And then learning that it's not just willpower alone, that you do have to start questioning your beliefs. And is this a path I want to take? Do I enjoy what it feels like to be sober when I am alcohol free? Do I like myself? Do I like the activities I used to like to do without alcohol? And like making a list of what it feels like on both ends. Like, this was me with alcohol. I have a list. I think I might have posted it on my Instagram, because now I don't even like, some of it's, I don't even know, because it's so long ago that it's not like a story that I keep reliving every day. But I remember writing like, I enjoy drinking alcohol when I take a bath, when I read a book, when I cook dinner, when I eat dinner. I enjoy drinking alcohol when I go to concerts or hang out with friends, like all this list of things like I like to do with alcohol. And then looking at the list and being like, but like, I don't need alcohol to have fun with my friends. Like, I can just be myself in front of my friends. And actually, when I drink alcohol, when I make dinner, eat dinner, and then after dinner, I feel like shit the next day. And like, that's not any fun. And so maybe we should take that event out. And I don't need alcohol with a book, because then I don't remember what I was reading. And like, just all of these, like, it's called cognitive dissonance, and weighing like the pros and the cons and showing your brain you don't actually need what you thought you needed.
Yeah. It is like programming your brain. You're putting logic to why the things that you do maybe aren't as logical as you thought.
Yes. And like another list of like, just I like waking up on time and being able to do my yoga or meditate because I'm not hungover, essentially, is where that time comes from, because otherwise I'd be sleeping or just not want to do yoga. And I like being clear-headed, like just all these lists of the pros of what it's like. And so then when you have a craving because it's that time, you can look at your list and be like, I enjoy being clear-headed. I enjoy being able to wake up tomorrow, and like reinstilling those as an affirmation of why we're not drinking alcohol anymore.
Yeah.
And my husband didn't read the book. He literally, it must just be really stubborn. He just stopped drinking without any extra information. We did have a lot of conversations in the beginning, just like talking about how amazing it was to be alcohol free, and like what it was like to maybe go to a restaurant and only spend $20 to $50 on food only, versus $100 on the food and all the alcohol we would drink while we were there. Whether it was lunch, dinner, or brunch, like looking at the receipt was always like an awe for me, because I couldn't believe it at the beginning.
Oh, you actually shared a little before the call about your money savings and how you track that. And yeah, you should share that
Okay.
if you feel called.
Yeah. So I have an app called I Am Sober, and you can use it to track any of your addictions. I use it obviously for alcohol, but you can use it for like smoking, or whatever. I'm not sure, because I haven't really looked at that part in over 2 years. So, you put in the day the last time you had the substance, whatever it was. And if you want to track your savings, you can also put in how much you would have spent per day on alcohol. And so that's why I know that I'm coming upon 888 days, is because I have this app. And so I only really check in when I want to, because I don't need to check in every day, but it will send you like reminders like, today is another day. Like, it'll be really cool. It'll be like your little sponsor if you really wanted that accountability. So in the 800 and almost 88 days that I've been alcohol free, I have saved over $13,000. And if you add my husband, who is also consuming almost just as much as I was, if not more, that's another $13,000. And so combined, that's 26 or more $1,000. Isn't that insane? So if you're questioning your relationship with alcohol, I need one more piece to push you over the edge, inviting you to calculate how much you spend on your daily drinking habit and just be curious. Like, what would it be like 1 month without alcohol, 1 year without alcohol? How much could you save? And same thing with cigarettes. Like, a lot of people spend a lot of money on cigarettes. I know
Yeah.
when I smoked a long time ago, I quit smoking and I had saved like $300 in however many months. And I was like, I'm going to buy a purse with that because that would have just been all wasted anyways. And I was so excited. Yeah.
Yeah, $13,000. That's a lot.
Yeah. It's insane to think about. Insane.
Yeah, that's good incentive. It really is. Especially when it's only getting more expensive.
Yeah. I don't even know how much it is, but I bet because everything else is going up.
Yeah. I feel like I saw in a window that a pack of cigarettes was like almost $10 or something. I was like, oh my gosh.
We're both like that. I can't.
Was there anything in particular that was supportive with the journey you were stepping away from alcohol? I mean, we've talked about breath work a lot and how that was definitely a part of your journey, but does is that was that the first thing? Did those kind of sequentially line up, like you made room for new things because you gave up alcohol and then here came the answer kind of thing?
Yeah. So I was reading the book and I felt like I was reading a lot of things in that first 30 days, taking in all the information I can. Like, I had all this free time now. So I was reading or studying and just also kind of resting. Like, I knew my body needed to recover. And so it was just really gentle. And then after about maybe 2 months or 3 months, I started emerging and being like, okay, now what? Like, what am I supposed to do with all of this time and all this information? And I think around that time, I hurt my back. I
Mm.
don't even know what I had done, but it was very painful, almost like I had pinched a muscle or a nerve along my spine, but like next to it. And so I started stretching and then doing yoga more frequently. And within like 2 weeks, that pain went away. And so I was like, so I guess yoga is what I'm going to do now. And so I would get the kids out the door and then go do a little yoga and then get ready and then go to work. And that felt like a really nice routine. And again, at that 2 to 3 months, that was like, okay, we're going to be sober now because this is the routine that I've built. And if I consume alcohol, I'm going to wake up hungover and I'm not going to be able to do yoga. But honestly, at that point, I don't even feel like I needed to tell myself that. But it was really nice to like feel into that reminder if I ever needed it.
Mm-hmm.
And then going down that path of yoga, I got into Kundalini yoga for a little bit and was doing that online on YouTube. And I'm like, what is this? And then I was doing some meditating and trying to connect with my guides, and I had found the Akashic records. But I had just started reading that book at that point and didn't and connected to the records once, but didn't feel like I had done anything too special. And so then I just put that book aside and I've actually just started rereading it. But anyways, and then I found breathwork on YouTube and was like, this is really interesting. But at that point, I think that it was more pranayama. It was like the breath of fire and it was, the yogic lens, not what we're doing now. But it was really cool to feel that energy and like try to work with my breath. So those were definitely helpful. And when I had talked to my therapist last year about like, I just don't understand why it's been so easy for me and people struggle with this addiction or with this label or what it is. And she said, well, maybe it was so easy for you is because you filled it in your time and your intentions with like your spirituality, the path that you want to go down, which I guess is the same thing with that 12 steps, except instead of feeling into what you want to do, you're doing what you have to do. You're doing what they tell you to do. And you're doing all this like personal work, but not in a way that is like actually healing based on what we now know going through the pause programs, that like healing is so much deeper than just saying like, I'm sorry I slapped you when I was drunk. Like there's like way more to healing what was happening there.
Yeah. Feel like maybe those are great initial, like maybe sorries need to happen and those are great initial steps, but for people who maybe go through those steps and wonder why they're not healed, that's okay too, because there is another layer and another layer and another layer, and it's finding what it is for you that helps you go deeper, because it's going to be different for all of us. Like we found breath work and we can go deep with breath work. And I know people who've gone just as deep with yoga, and I had wonderful experiences, but I've never gone as deep in yoga as I have with breath work. So it's just everyone has their own door. And so I just invite people that if you feel like there's still healing to be had, like that's okay. Don't feel bad. Don't feel like the 12 steps didn't work. It's just that your journey's not over. And it never really is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious, like, if it was, because I feel like there's different, I don't know, not categories, because I don't want to, like, I never want to put in a box, but um like for me, drinking was something that was pretty much only social. It's the only reason I ever did it. Um, Later on in life, maybe I enjoyed like wine or something solo, but it was pretty much a social peer pressure thing that ever led me to drink, versus like smoking weed, for instance, is something that, yeah, I did start social, but that for me became a crutch and has been a crutch throughout my journey, and is the thing that I reach for when I am trying to escape um or self-medicate in some way, which I do feel like marijuana has wonderful medicinal properties to it, and the relationship I've had to it at times wasn't medicinal.
Yeah.
So I guess for me, I wonder, what led it there, because I've experienced both, and my experience that led me there was different. And I think when it is an escaping type of thing, um, that's when we usually develop a more habitual relationship than with something that is maybe, and I think maybe yours is a different, you probably maybe have smoked, but isn't something that you use to escape, so you don't reach for it in the same way that I do, and then vice versa with alcohol. So
Yeah, that is funny how opposite it is. So intentionality is what I want to say on your journey with marijuana. And like in the beginning, maybe you weren't so intentional, and now you're starting to learn that if you bring intention and make it sacred, that it can be.
mhm.
And I've been bringing in intentionality in with my relationship with marijuana as well. And it's like, it's okay for me to recreate right now and like let loose and enjoy this. And I know that this is only for this afternoon. I'm not going to pick it up tomorrow and recreate again and then do it the next day and recreate again. Like this is my vacation. This is my day off when I choose to smoke marijuana. But for alcohol, it wasn't just like, that intentional with it. I was picking it up so that I could numb and escape my everyday reality, numbing my emotions, numbing my thoughts, because with the anxiety, they weren't really great thoughts. And at the moment that I was drinking the worst, I was feeling pretty depressed. And then when you bring in alcohol because you're depressed, and then the alcohol makes you even more depressed, and it's this horrible cycle that you get yourself into. I don't really know like exactly what it was that I was escaping from other than my body, my emotions.
Mhm.
But knowing now on this journey of finding my truest, most authentic self. I didn't feel safe to be that version when I was drinking like that. And so I think that I was drinking to try to fit in, and then drinking a lot at home because that was just who I was now. Drinking became my entire personality. Ooh, this is amazing. So for my birthday, the year of 2020, so my birthday's in September, I quit drinking in December. Every one of my gifts was alcohol related. My the brokerage I worked at, they all gave me something, whether it was a bottle of wine or like this self-serve beer, like keggy looking thing, or glasses. I went to my parents' house and they gave me 7 bottles of wine, and I was drunk when I went over there. So I was like laughing. I was like, one for every day of the week. And it was funny until I went home and looked at like all of the stuff I had gotten for my birthday. And I literally started crying. I was like, is this all I am? That this is anything people can get me is fucking alcohol. It made me feel so horrible. And I think between that and Thanksgiving, and at that point, I had already been questioning my relationship. So I was like, this isn't really who I want to be. And then it was like this mirror that was placed right in front of me. Like, this is who you are. This is who everybody says you are, who everybody thinks you are because of the way you live your life. And I was like, wow. So that was fun. I actually ended up giving most of those away. I didn't even drink them between September and December. I had them when I quit drinking, and I was just kind of like giving them away over time. And I probably threw the last 2 away because I was like, this is poison. I don't want to give away any more poison. So you said at the beginning, starting to care what you put in your body. And my husband and I have always cared what we put in our body. We eat organic food, we eat grass-fed beef and free-range chickens. And, we spend a lot of money on groceries, and we always have. And then we were spending a lot of money on poison. And that is just crazy. Like, why would we care so much about the food we're going to put in if we're just going to be killing ourselves with the amount of alcohol we're putting in our bodies? 1 bottle of wine increases your risk of getting cancer by 100%. In the same episode that I'm going to link for Dr. Andrew Huberman, he's going to say that statistic, and I was blown away. So basically, you just don't drink alcohol because it is going to cause some form of cancer at one point in your life. Like, it might not be now, it could be later, but it's insane.
Important to note too, because I think sometimes I've heard people go to a defense of like, well, so-and-so drank and they lived to this, or so-and-so drank and it was something else that killed them. And it's like, yeah, something else might kill you before the cancer comes, but the research does show that at some point, if you keep on keeping on with those habits, that it is going to do detrimental damage, whether it's cancer, which I think that's like the most prominent one, but also increasing your risk for heart disease and other liver diseases besides cancer that are just as deadly. So yeah, you know a lot more about that than me. I've only started scratching the surface, starting to read this book called Drink ? And it has a lot of those facts. And yeah, I've been digesting it slowly because I did not know how absolutely toxic alcohol is in every way. And what's scary, and I don't want to go on a big tangent on this because this could probably be a whole episode, is just how much research there is that is with governing agencies. Like, this isn't research that's being done in private labs that's hard to find. Like, this is research that has been done by our governments or by prestigious universities that's well known, and probably why they tried to outlaw it for some time. And even those governing agencies will tell you it's not good at all. And if you're going to do it, like, you should have 1 drink a week. And even then, that's bad. But it's crazy to me that it's legal, honestly. And then it's also crazy to me that while they put all this research out that's just readily available that says how toxic it is, we turn around and then market it and make it part of society in every way, shape, and form, and associate it with everything we do so that everyone's programmed to have it be a part of your normal life. And it's like, what? Why? No. Anyways, tangent over on that. But
Yes, but it's like that waking up process, which you are with that book, Drink, question mark, like that really prompts the question, like, is this what I want to be doing with my life? Is this the relationship I want to have with alcohol?
yeah, do I want to put something like that in my body?
So big alcohol, like big pharma, big alcohol probably pays a lot of money to continue to be in front of everybody's faces like that and
Oh,
keeping
yeah.
that program going. So we need to wake up. All that research is out there, right? Most people don't want to read it. They don't want to believe it because they don't want to change their relationship with alcohol. They don't want anything to be different because they want, ignorance is bliss. They want to continue doing
Yeah.
what they were doing. But for those people that are interested in questioning their relationship with alcohol, just inviting you to begin asking yourself questions like, is this what I want to be doing, partaking in, experiencing? And what happens when I do that? Is that going to change the rest of your day? Is that going to change tomorrow? Is that going to change anything that has to do with your body? So for me, I was trying to do intermittent fasting before I quit drinking alcohol, but alcohol took the priority. And so I was drinking alcohol into 9 p.m. Sometimes I would stay up to 10 p.m. just drinking. But I should have been fasting and stopping alcohol or anything at 7 p.m. But I would occasionally drink longer. Not occasionally, I would do it often. And so when I finally quit drinking alcohol, I could commit to intermittent fasting and I could commit to being gluten-free. And I could commit to my health more because alcohol wasn't taking over that control. It was me now. I was saying, I'm in control. Because I was addicted to alcohol, I couldn't just have the one because of the chemical response in my brain. My dopamine would heighten when I first ingest the alcohol. And then my body would kick in and try to bring back homeostasis, and it would actually release endorphins or whatever the chemical term is to balance out all of the dopamine that had been dumped into my system. And so it actually brought my happiness level down to where it was before I ever had alcohol that day. And then you drink the second glass and it brings it up just a little bit. It brings it up more, but not to where it was with that first glass. And then you keep going on this downward journey every glass you drink from there. So you will never feel the rush or the euphoria or whatever it is on that first drink of alcohol. You will never feel that again for 24 hours. And that was pretty like, I was like, well, then why do it? If I can't just have one. Like my body is like, no, we need to keep drinking. It's a party now. Let's just keep going. And I've said this with LaCroix or water. Like if I have something in front of me, I'm going to be tossing it back. Like it's just some sort of, I don't know, like a fidget or something that I do. Like I just have to keep drinking. And so if I have alcohol in front of me, yeah, I'm going to keep tossing it back. But if I have water in front of me, I'm going to keep drinking my water and needing it refilled over and over again, which is another really annoying thing when you no longer are like that customer who is ordering the $7, the $10 alcoholic drinks. You get weighted on far less because you're not racking up your bill. So your tip is probably going to be less. And it's really annoying, but I'll take it.
Is there anything else you want to leave our peeps with?
So I really love the Dr. Joe Dispenza quote, and maybe you can help me because I think you've said this before on our podcast.
I think it's essentially 80% of the thoughts that you think are the same thoughts that you thought yesterday.
Yeah.
And we are constantly in a state of autopilot far more than we realize we are until we start to be more mindful and take those pauses and really decide what we're thinking and consuming so that we can generate those new thoughts, and those new thoughts can lead to new actions, and those new actions can generate the new reality.
Yes. I love that. Thanks for putting that together. That's exactly what we need, especially if you're stuck in the cycle and you're not happy and you maybe don't know why you're not happy.
Mm-hmm.
Could be alcohol or whatever the addiction is.
Yeah, get curious. Yeah, that's another good curiosity ping is, how has your relationships changed from being in a different relationship with alcohol versus now? Did it affect your relationships? Did you lose relationships? Have they been strengthened now? What does that look like?
Yeah, I definitely think that because my personality was tied to who I was with alcohol, like I was a wino or I worked at a brewery, whatever it was, without that anymore, there wasn't a connection between me and a lot of people. And with and at the beginning, without the alcohol, I didn't know what to talk about because I wasn't comfortable with myself either. And so I spaced myself from other people. And I also maybe put walls up thinking they're not going to like me anymore. But a lot of it had to do with the fact that because I made this choice to not drink anymore, a lot of people began to judge me. And essentially they're judging themselves though, because now they're looking at their relationship with alcohol and they didn't want to do that. They weren't ready to do that. But because I stopped drinking alcohol, they're like, what's wrong with her? Or actually heard that one of my family members thought I had gotten a DUI and that's why I stopped drinking. And I thought, really? Because I have to fall to rock bottom to make a decision like that? No, I don't have to do that. I can make that choice whenever I want. And it's that power piece, taking back my power. I'm not giving it away to alcohol, but a DUI could have certainly happened with the relationship and the decisions I was making because of alcohol. So I'm very lucky that I never got one. It really strengthened my relationship with my husband, though, when we quit together, created that new bond, and we had a lot to talk about because we were experiencing it together, a little bit differently, but it was still really nice to have those conversations. And now we've deepened our relationship because we're not just drunk all the time, which is absent, which is escaped. Like we're present all of the time, unless we're recreating. But even then, like I feel like marijuana is just such a different level of presence than alcohol was.
Yeah, totally.
So I mean, it's been hard, but it's for the better. And if I lost people because of alcohol, then honestly, that's not my fault. That's not my problem.
Yeah. And ultimately you created space for more aligned people who are aligned with your more authentic, truest self.
Yes, I love that. And that's a great reminder for our audience too. When you do begin questioning your relationship or spacing yourself out, you may lose people, and it's for your betterment. Like more aligned people will come into your life and hold you higher than those people you were around when you were drinking.
Yeah. I was gonna say, do you feel complete, or is there anything else that's bubbling up to be shared?
I don't have the label of alcoholic, and I also don't view myself as in recovery. And I think I think they're kind of tied together. A lot of people are like, I'm in recovery because I'm an alcoholic or because I have an addiction, but like, I acknowledge the addiction. And I'm sure if I drank alcohol right now, my body would be like, ooh, it's time to party. Like, I'm not really sure what kind of chemical reactions would go off. but like, I am not on a road to recovery. I am just free.
That's beautiful. I just want to honor your story and the boldness to talk about it and to be vulnerable and to empower the people that are listening to be curious and to bring that level of mindfulness into their life, to ask the question and honor the answer and take their power back if they need to.
Yes, I love that. So I'll have all of those links below. And honestly, a lot of our regular listeners, this may not resonate with. So if there is somebody in your life that you'd like to share this episode with, I would absolutely love that. And if you have any questions about my journey or anything else, you can simply leave a comment below. And we hope you have a beautiful rest of your day.